we were already happy with the 900 meters, so great to have more. And then it kind of kept getting better as the winter went on. So we got the results back from Gracie, and that was where we suspect there's a buried intrusion similar to Valley, but just not daylighting on surface, about 4 kilometers to the east.
Hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today I'm joined by Scott Berdahl, who is the CEO and director of Snowline Gold. Snowline Gold have built up a large exploration portfolio in the relatively underexplored Selwyn Basin in the Yukon. Scott, great to see you today. You're getting ready for the new drilling season, yeah?
We are, yeah. Good to see you too, Leo. And yeah, I've just jumped into a new office here because we've got people going in and out, carrying gear, and basically moving into a new camp we just built. And we'll be kicking off the drill season very soon.
Excellent. When we spoke last time, we talked a lot about the discoveries you'd made in the last drilling season. You had the Jupiter discovery at your Einarson project and the Valley discovery at Rogue. But tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing over the winter to kind of expand the Rogue targets there, the Ridge discovery there, and also the work you've been doing at Gracie.
Yeah, exactly. So, the assay backlog that affected so many last year meant that we got some of our discovery holes back in January, and some of the regional surface work that we were doing came back in even later. And so, we drilled Valley at the second target that we drilled last year, and the second discovery, a big Fort Knox style bulk tonnage target, and yeah, I mean, we've talked about that before, and that was fantastic to hit. And, it was within this big 900 meter soil anomaly that crosses the edge of this newly discovered kilometer scale intrusion. But what we got back later were some of the contour samples that we were doing. And that's just a really sort of an economical first pass way to test larger regions than soils grids. And so, you walk along a hill slope, or the sampler does in a mountainous region like where Valley is. And just every 50 meters in our case, you take a soil sample and you keep going. And so that gives you kind of a more detailed picture than you get from stream sediment sampling, which we've inherited a large database and gives us a big picture of what's out there. And so that work, those results came in after we had the drill discovery, which again, we were very happy with what we had in just that small block. But then on the far shoulder of the Valley intrusion, along a ridge line, which we've now called the ridge zone, where we have seen sheeted veining, and we knew that there was some mineralization up there, but seeing just this line of contour samplers go along that ridge, and it lights up for another, basically a kilometer. There's 750 meters continuously where you have these nice samples, and then a few other outlier samples that are with no data in between them, defining about a kilometer stretch on that ridge that might connect to the Valley zone directly, but related to the same intrusion. So it's the same mineralizing system, and it overall gives the system basically a 2 kilometer footprint. So we're pretty happy to double the prospective area in the in that discovery that we made, and really just open up the resource potential in that way. We were already happy with the 900 meters, so great to have more. And then it kind of kept getting better as the winter went on. So we got the results back from Gracie, and that was where we suspect there's a buried intrusion similar to Valley, but just not daylighting on surface, about 4 kilometers to the east. And there you just have these big gossainous hillsides, so these big red sulfides are oxidizing there, and it just makes this big red zone that you can see from space. And those rocks are cooked. They're very high temperature, but there's nothing around them to suggest, why they might have been cooked. So we figure, okay, it's right down below. And sure enough, the geochemical signature there is very consistent with the intrusion-related system that we have at Valley. You have pathfinders like tellurium and bismuth and things like that you see in these intrusive environments. And there's also a lot of gold. And so basically controlled by, I think, the stratigraphy and some of the structures cutting through there, you have this 5 kilometer zone of anomalous gold mineralization that we're seeing in these contour samples. And there's a core area that lines up with where some geophysics suggest that the intrusion actually is. And, within that, you have about 1,600 meters, so 1,600 meters by, it is a contour line, so it's not like a grid or anything, but still, it's about 800 meters wide where it kind of goes out along a ridge. And within that zone, we have 8 samples out of 43 that were greater than a gram per ton. And if you average all of those samples, 43 samples across more than a kilometer, the average grade is half a gram. So in these bulk tonnage systems, you're already, if those were drill core samples, which are not, but, you'd be in the ore zone. So definitely very encouraging to see that and to think about, what kind of an engine might be driving a 5 kilometer anomaly, even if the actual ore zone is much smaller than that. It's, you still need a big system and a lot of fluids to move through and create that kind of a footprint.
Absolutely. And I guess you've put out an announcement today as well that you've done some staking to increase your land package there at Rogue and also at your Cynthia project. So that includes some of these new extensions and trying to build out further from that, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So there were a couple of reasons that we did that staking, and one is basically just to build out from those discoveries. We haven't really staked any new targets with that expansion, at least not in the case of Rogue. We're basically just stepping out to better protect these areas where you have something like Gracie, and the mineralization from that, or at least the geochemical anomaly from that, extends out 5 kilometers, and that's getting pretty close to the edge of the blocks. We kind of added a bit more padding around there to just to ensure that we have that district controlled. And sure enough, there was some nuisance staking. We found claim posts out there about just a few days before we had gotten out there, right around the valley target. So, if you look in the press release, there's a little bit of a rim of new claims there. But fortunately, best of luck to them if they find something there. The historical data that we have doesn't really point to anything there, but if they find something, that's great. It's not a huge loss for us. But the other reason that we've kind of stepped out and done these, you'll see on the claim map, we have these bridges between blocks. And in the Yukon, when you do work on one claim, you can apply it to a grouping of claims to keep them in good standing in lieu of paying for the work like you do in other jurisdictions, or paying to hold the claims like you do in other jurisdictions. And so with those bridges, then we can apply drilling, say at Valley, to cover claims that might be coming due at Old Cabin and that sort of a thing. So it really just makes it a lot more efficient, and means that more of the dollars that we spend go towards keeping claims in good standing for longer.
Absolutely. So looking at the season ahead, you're kicking off drilling June 1st, yeah? Where are you going to be targeting this summer?
I will be targeting a few places. We'll be going back to, we'll be starting back at Valley. We've got a drill park there right now. And so we'll be firing that up again and continuing this build out along that 900 meter trend and going up and testing the ridge. And while we're doing that work, we'll have another drill coming in about 2 weeks, looking at mobilizing that around mid-June. And yeah, as we're drilling Valley, we will have surface crews working on several other targets. We'd like to step over and figure out how to drill Gracie. We don't want to rush into it. It's a big, exciting anomaly, but it's very easy to miss an ore body. So we want to make sure we have the best chance at success early on there. And then walking a drill up to our Avalanche Creek target, which is one that we haven't really given a lot of press to at this point, but it's a similar float train to that at Jupiter, this high grade epizonal orogenic looking quartz. It comes down for this drainage at Avalanche Creek for about 1 kilometer. We have graph samples there that assay up to 34 grams. So, it's pretty exciting. It looks a lot like what Jupiter looked like at the start of last season. And then, finally, Jupiter, last but not least, really nice high grade mineralization. We drilled targets across about 1.1 kilometers of a 3 kilometer geochemical anomaly there. And, we're really just scratching the surface, even where we have drilled. There's a lot more to figure out. So we're looking at sort of, 75% give or take on the established discoveries on Valley and on Jupiter. And then the remaining 25% looking at Gracie and Avalanche Creek, and potentially, a third or a fourth target, depending on how the season goes. But we have our eye on Ursa, which is a base metal target nearby that's just kind of too big and intense to ignore, even though we're a gold company. And so, while we're out there, and it's also not far from our new central camp location too. So that's very convenient, might as well take a look at and see what that is. That may or may not be on the docket this season. And, there are a few other gold targets nearby too that we're pretty keen to get a drill into, but whether it's this season or next, we'll see.
So, I mean, how many meters and how many holes are you targeting this season?
Yeah, with the two drills, we're basically looking at about 8,000 meters. Average depths are probably around 200 meters a hole. And I'm hoping that if we can perform as efficiently as we did last year, that we can push that number a lot higher and get that up to a 10,000 meter figure or even more. But we'll see what the efficiencies are like and what the rock we get into is like, and go from there.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned that, Gracie, you're going to start going over there and doing a bit of groundwork to sort of try and identify where to drill. How long do you think that will take? And how long do you think before you could get a drill hole into Gracie?
That's a good question. We do have a mag survey coming up, an aerial mag survey over actually that whole block, as well as Old Cabin. And that'll be happening in sort of mid-June, early to mid-June. And then it'll come down to the surface work, I guess. We can't say that it could be that on day one we see it and okay, this makes sense, put a drill here and we're good to go. It could be that after a month we're scratching our heads and waiting for some more assay results to come back. So I don't want to put a firm stamp on when we're going to be there, but I would hope that by July we'll be able to get a drill over there and test it out.
Absolutely. I guess it, as you say, it depends on what you find when you're over there. But you've got your camp is built. How many people can that host?
That's set up for 45 people. So we're set to do a lot of work out there and do a lot of work pretty aggressively. And we are. We have at the same time that we're doing that drilling and having those two drills going, we do have a lot of geophysical surveys and other soil sampling surveys and prospecting and so on going on these other targets. Like, it really is a district that we're trying to put together here. And so we're trying to prioritize and advance targets accordingly. We do have an IP survey planned for Jupiter before we move the drills back there to give us a better sense of what's going on underground on that very blind target. And we have a gravity survey planned for Ursa, which will basically tell us a little bit more in terms of how much merit we think that base metal anomaly has. Fireweed Zinc to the southeast of us did some interesting gravity work at their boundary zone and ultimately drilled it, and now it's their boundary zone. That's a pretty spectacular discovery they had in not too dissimilar rocks. So it's an exciting area to be in, and it's going to be a busy season. We're basically putting that camp to use right out of the gate.
Absolutely. And you've just hired a new lead geologist as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we did. And again, that reflects our focus on building this as a district and trying to act accordingly. So Sergio Gamanal joins us directly from Barrick. His most recent job, he was their country manager for Chile. And before that, he was their country manager for Argentina. And so, he's used to sort of a big project pipeline, looking at early stage opportunities to more advanced targets and basically breaking that down and prioritizing and really seeing, what makes sense, what doesn't, hitting thresholds for different targets so we can, not just chase after something just because we've been chasing after it, but know when to cut our losses and move on to a new target and know where to, how to allocate those resources. So we're pretty happy to have him involved. He's also got a lot of relevant geological experience, of course, to the targets that we're looking at. In Chile, of course, there's a lot more porphyry expertise, but still overlap with intrusion-related deposits and expertise in clay alteration patterns, which is going to be key at Jupiter, where you have these big quartz carbonate breccias, and you're close to one because you get into this big zone of clay alteration in the siltstones. And so if we can start to recognize those clays a little better and recognize the fingerprint of, or even a zonation around the ore or mineralization anyway, then we should be a lot better off as we target additional zones there.
Absolutely. And I mean, you've got a lot of exciting targets there to look at, but obviously all of this needs funding. How's that looking? And I see you've also, on the corporate side, you're beefing up that side of things as well with a new addition in your IR team.
Yeah, that's right. So financially, we're pretty happy. We did a big raise in the kind of late fall last year to put us through this season and to really let us bring in the second drill and pursue this aggressive surface work. So we're in good shape there, and then we do have money trickling in from warrant exercises that kind of keep coming in as well. It's nice that on all the previous raises we've done, the warrants are now in the money, and so as long as we can continue with some decent discoveries, we should have sort of a de facto financing happening in the background at all the time. We also, in terms of looking at getting the Snowline story out there and trying to communicate what we're doing to the world instead of just to our, amongst our geological team. We brought on Stephanie Hansen. She joined us internally and is doing a fantastic job in terms of managing our social media channels, managing a lot of our conference setups and outreach and investor relations and so on. So she's definitely in a trial by fire situation, but she's doing admirably and really already making a big impact. So we're very lucky to have her.
Perfect. It's all coming together nicely. Well, you better get on, because it sounds like you've got an awful lot ahead of you this season. A lot of exciting targets to look at. But thank you for joining us today for this update.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Leo. I really appreciate you having me on.
Good to speak with you, Scott.